I'm Julia. I'm 27 years old and I'm a grad student living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Last year I posted a tour of my one-bedroom apartment and I couldn't believe how many people saw it and how many kind comments I got. So now that I'm living in a brand new apartment, I thought it would be fun to take you along on some of my interior design process. So I decided to start with the living room because it's probably the room that my partner and I spend the most amount of time in, and it's also just such a fun and cozy space to design. So yeah, so that's the room I decided to start with. I'll tell you a little bit about the new apartment. So it's a 2-bedroom apartment on the second floor of a 1920s home where they turned each floor into its own apartment. It's in the Shadyside neighborhood in Pittsburgh, and my partner and I first toured it almost a year ago, back in March of 2024, and we immediately knew we wanted to live here. We just loved how much sunlight it got and the beautiful Victorian features like the stained glass windows, fireplaces, and we also really appreciated that it had been kept pretty up to date, even though it was an old home. So the kitchen's pretty new, the bathrooms are in good shape. So yeah, we were just like immediately in love with it, and we ended up signing the lease like the day that we toured, and a year later, I have to say it was a great decision. So we didn't actually move in until August of last year. So we signed a lease like really early, at least for Pittsburgh standards. And then over the last 6 months, I've been gradually decorating the living room, which I know sounds like kind of a long time period, but I do think compared to a lot of YouTube videos that you see where people are doing like a room makeover in a weekend or something, I think this is a slightly more realistic timeline. So I've just been spreading out my spending, waiting until I kind of find the right pieces, and also like fitting it in to my life as a grad student. Like, this is not my number one priority. So I hope you kind of appreciate that it's more in line with how I think everyday people put their homes together. So yeah, I feel like a space is never 100% done. I honestly still have some ideas for this living room, but I think it's at a good point to share it, and I'm really proud of how far it's come. So yeah, without further ado, let me take you along on my living room makeover process. To start off, here's a clip of the living room before we moved anything in. I'll also show you a mock-up I made of the living room before moving in. My final layout ended up looking pretty different, but I knew I wanted to keep the reds and greens from my old living room and incorporate blue as well. I wanted the living room to have a cozy, grandmotherly feeling and was really excited to incorporate curtains this time around. This next clip is from a few weeks after we moved in. Initially, we had the TV on the opposite wall, but I realized that I wanted a big wall of bookshelves to go there, so we settled on this layout instead. Everything here was brought from my old place. I knew I wanted to keep the couch, but I wasn't loving the Calyx unit as a TV stand. I absolutely love this rug, but it was much smaller than would be ideal for the space. The first big project for this room was getting my bookshelves set up. I was running out of space on my old shelf and wanted books to be a focal element of the room. I actually bought shelves from Home Depot to mount on the wall with my landlord's approval, but I had to return them because the plaster walls didn't seem equipped to support that kind of weight, so that was disappointing, but I ended up really happy with my final solution. I got 3 short Billy bookcases from IKEA, which fit perfectly together along this wall to create the effect of one big bookcase. I really like how the white brightens up the room, and I knew it would be a great backdrop for all of my colorful books and knickknacks. I had so much fun styling the shelves, and the apartment immediately felt more like home after getting them set up. Something new I added is these Art Deco Frank Art bookends. I bought them at an antique store I spontaneously stopped at while driving from Cleveland to Pittsburgh. The owner was incredibly kind, and there was even a shop cat named Pirate who hopped onto my shoulders. If you're ever in Northeast Ohio, it's called North Jackson Antiques, and I could not recommend it enough. My next step was to bring in all of my lamps from the old place. This immediately made the room feel so much cozier. I hate using the big light. Next up, I wanted to upgrade the pillows and throw on the couch. I never liked how the fluffy brown pillows looked, although the cats love to make biscuits on them, and though I like the fleece blanket, I wanted something that looked a little bit more elevated. One inspiration was Amanda Brooks' Cotswolds home, which is filled with cozy quilted pillows in reds and blues. I looked all over for quilted pillows, and I ended up finding these pretty blue and white vintage pillows on eBay. Then I found this pretty red, green, and cream blanket at Marshall's. I honestly want my apartment to give off fall vibes year-round, and this blanket is just perfect for that. During the same shopping trip, I wandered into a local artist market called Painted Tree, and I found these sweet green pillows. I'm absolutely obsessed with how the couch came together. I just think it's so cozy, so pretty, and very me. So next up, I was looking at getting a runner to go right by the bookcases because I wanted to section it off so that the library was kind of its own little area, and I thought a rug would kind of help with that. So I'm going to show you some of my inspiration. After some dedicated time on Pinterest, I realized how much I love the look of a geometric woven rug, especially when juxtaposed with florals and softer, more like grandma fabrics. I believe I first saw this in the designer Rita Koenig's work. I also found this photo on Pinterest that I loved so much. I searched for this rug on Google Lens and I found something very similar on Etsy. So here's how it looks next to my bookcase. I really love it. So my pro tip is when you're designing a space, reverse image search is your best friend. So what I'm about to show you next is probably my favorite piece of furniture that I own now. So I mentioned before that I definitely wanted to get rid of the Kallax as a TV stand. I think Kallax units are a super clever, practical way of storing things, and you can dress them up to make them look a little bit more elevated, but I really felt like mine was just kind of giving like college student who hasn't really thought about any of the stuff in their room, and I just wanted to go for something more elevated and thought out. So I found that I really liked the look of sort of big wall units with lots of shelving, but I really didn't want to break the bank and I wasn't sure what I'd be able to find that was kind of in my budget and also fit my space. So I'm going to show you some inspiration. I came across this Pottery Barn Nicasio modular collection. So while this set was too expensive for me, it gave me the idea of pairing a basic credenza with two bookshelves to create the idea of an entertainment center. I found a lot of great consoles on Facebook Marketplace and decided to buy the bookshelves new since I needed them to be a very specific size. So here are some mock-ups that I made. Option 1. Option 2, and option 3, which is what I actually went with. I ended up getting this mid-century credenza from Facebook Marketplace. The seller delivered it to me less than an hour after I messaged him, which was amazing. The bookshelves are just off of Amazon. Here they are before I got the chance to style them. And then we have sweet Rory over here basking in the sunlight. What a cutie. And then here's what the shelves looked like after I added in some decor. Next, I wanted to make use of the space above the radiator. I thought about getting a fancy radiator cover from Etsy, but I just couldn't justify the price. I ended up finding this wooden plank at a construction surplus store in Pittsburgh for about $20. It's not a perfect solution. Of course, it would be preferable to have space between the radiator and the plank, but I'm happy that I can keep a few items up there now. For a while, my kitty Rory was obsessed with napping here, even though the basket is a little small for him. He loves the warmth from the radiator. Check out this gas-powered fireplace my landlord installed. We don't use it a ton, but it's such a cozy vibe. Over here is a magazine rack I got from an antique store in my hometown. And then this is a basket and blanket my mom picked up for the cats. I love how well the colors go with the rest of my living room. And then over here is a new addition. It is an arched lamp that I got from Wayfair. My friend Niliana has a very similar one that I love, so of course I had to copy her. One December morning, I logged onto Facebook and saw that someone was giving away a large area rug in my Buy Nothing group. And not only that, but the tan and muted reds and greens looked like they would go perfectly in my living room. So I immediately drove to the listed address and picked it up. In some ways, it doesn't compare to my old rug, which I am keeping. It's from an inexpensive brand, while the other one is handmade. But I really think it looks great in the space and opens up the room. And I was really lucky to get it for free. That was amazing. Here's what it looks like in the space. After adding in the new rug, I decided it was time for the coffee table to go. It had pretty bad damage from the cats, and I thought something smaller would look better in the space. For now, I decided to use two pieces I already had, a vintage hexagonal coffee table that I also got for free in my old neighborhood, and then this green dot ottoman that goes with the armchair that's over in the turret. I was really surprised by how good the arrangement looked. And I'm especially loving the pattern on the ottoman and the cute tray on top. Here's a peek at what everything looks like at night, and you can see Rory over there sleeping in his new basket. Now, this is one of the most exciting updates of the whole makeover: curtains. The curtains on the big window are from West Elm, and the ones in the turret are from Etsy. I'm especially obsessed with how the turret came out. I think it looks so fancy. I didn't want to spend the money on a custom curved rod since I'm renting, so I got this flexible curtain track from Amazon instead, and it works surprisingly well. Now I'm going to show you something my boyfriend got me for Christmas. It's a little sign that says Julia's Library, and it's purple and it has a cat and books on it. It was truly such a thoughtful gift, and it makes me so happy every time I look at it. Oh, please excuse the questionable lighting in this clip, but I finally hung up art from my old place. If you're curious about these pieces, I talked about them more in my previous video, but they're all very meaningful to me, and I'm really glad that I finally hung them up. I found that every time I had friends over, I wished there was more seating in the living room. So I wanted there to be at least room for 2 more people, but I thought that a regular love seat would look too crammed given the small amount of space. So I decided I either needed a mini love seat or a chair and a half. And I was hoping to find something high quality on Facebook Marketplace, but I think because the dimensions I wanted were so specific, I just wasn't able to find anything. So I ended up getting this super cheap couch from Wayfair, and I was a little nervous about the quality, but it had really good reviews, and so far I found it pretty comfortable. I decked out the mantle with some art and trinkets I already had. Since I do all the decorating, I wanted to add some signs that my boyfriend lives here too. So here's a picture of him when he was little, so cute. And then over on the black shelves by the TV, I also added in this old photo of his parents, which kind of complements the picture of my parents over on the other side. Here's a look at everything in the daylight. Theo approves of the new love seat and this accent pillow that I picked up from Target. And then over in the corner is this cat scratcher I bought in an effort to try to save the couch from the kitties. It's not working that well so far. If anyone has tips, let me know. This is a tiny update, but my mismatched bookends were bothering me, so I ended up getting these clear ones from Amazon so that the accent bookends can stand out and then the other books will just be tidy and not noticeable. I still can't believe how beautiful the stained glass window is when it's sunny. Like, it's just stunning. And then over here is my new rubber tree that I bought from a small plant shop in my neighborhood. The owner was super helpful in setting me up with a big plant that's easy to care for. I really love it, and I'm gonna try my best to keep it healthy. And finally, my last additions to the space. Well, not actually, but the last ones I'm gonna show you. I found myself sitting on the love seat to do computer work a lot, and there wasn't really a good spot to set down drinks or my laptop. So I found this awesome C-shaped side table from Article. The quality is really great, and I love how functional it is while keeping a pretty minimal appearance. I also thought the love seat needed its own throw blanket. My boyfriend recently commented that we have about 1 billion blankets, which is definitely true, but you can never have too many, right? And then I found this really pretty bird blanket from Etsy, and I like that it gives the love seat some character since it's otherwise pretty basic. Here's one final look around the living room. I'm so excited that it's finally put together, and I also can't wait to keep working on the rest of the apartment. There's Theo. Oh my god, so cute. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot, and hopefully you stick around.